Delighted today to be joined by Nick and Harry from a business that was, and you might recognise them as Capital GES, but is now People 2.0. So a great opportunity for me to say, hello guys, how are you? What on earth's that all about? How's business?
Good to see you, Gary. Harry?
Brilliant.
Yeah, no, good to see you again, Gary.
On the other line, we're in different countries. I'm in Switzerland, Harry's in the UK. No, business is great, Gary. Business is great. Touch wood, despite the pandemic, things are in good shape. You just mentioned Capital GES. We became part of the People 2.0 family about 18 months ago. And since then, People 2.0, who I now represent as a COO, has acquired another 3 businesses. So kind of where we stand is we offer solutions for your type of clients, contingent solutions in 40 countries now, in 6 different continents. And we're now doing 1.5 billion turnover. We're offering solutions to about 2,500 staffing agencies globally. And we're looking after about 160,000 at last count workers per year. So from that perspective, things are good. And what we tried to do over the last 6 months is boost that up from a solution perspective, opening new solutions in new countries, in new hotspots as well. So organic expansion, acquisition has brought us up to a good spot now.
Part of your mix that made you guys brilliant suppliers for us was the ability for you to offer solutions in country and to effectively be employing those people. Is you had a whole function where it wasn't just a remote pay-as-you-earn payroll company. There was more in-depth opportunities around supply in country.
Part of the reason we joined the People 2.0 group was to be able to part of a team that can now offer EOR and AOR as one of the largest now independent global provider. So having solutions in country, having entities in country, having the licenses, which is a whole nother world of complexity, to be able to employ people compliantly in that realm of countries means now a lot of the agencies, staffing businesses, MSPs, these intermediaries, we service market makers as opposed to end clients, can use us as a one-stop shop. Because we were finding before that one agency would have to go to 5 different providers for 5 different countries. So our aim is to be that one-stop shop. So 2 of the acquisitions we closed on this year. One of them is one of the biggest players in Australia, ESG. So they have Australia, Singapore, Malaysia as solutions as well, and New Zealand. And TCP Solutions based in the UK that had solutions in Belgium, Germany, as well as another company in Holland called We Pay People, means that agencies are coming to us and it's one throat to choke, one contact, and we can deliver the solutions for them and get them out to market. Give them the ability to service more clients, bring in more revenue, do more deals in a time like this in markets that are buoyant, technology, life sciences. And that's what led to our growth because we're well diversified.
And let's just talk for anyone who doesn't know you guys, talk about the breadth of service that you offer to people. So where's it start and where's it finish?
Yeah, so the global tagline is EOR and AOR. And basically what that means in a kind of UK, European sense is we can employ anyone, anywhere, for any period of time. Anywhere at the moment is 40 countries, okay? And we're improving and we're going to build it up to about 65 internal solutions by the end of 2021. And that means we're in a perfectly placed position to be able to support the clients at scale in the key territories. We can actually employ their recruiters. Let's say they find a German recruiter that's working from his bedroom that knows the life science market or knows the tech market. We can actually employ that member of staff on their behalf so they don't even need to set up an entity to start with, that's kind of changed the game because it means you can have an agency that doesn't need to spend 6 months working out how to set up an entity, tax laws, speak to lawyers, bank accounts, company opening. We can employ a senior consultant on their behalf and they can go to market straight away.
Where's people's sort of ambition at the moment in that regard?
So if I start with the sectors, 2 main sectors that, in our opinion, that have boomed, and we've seen that with obviously staffing agencies and where they've been placing tech, life science for an obvious reason. Every life science business is obviously racing to get a vaccine ready. And tech, a lot of tech businesses very quickly realized that their guys, contractors, permanent staff could work from anywhere. And then that filtered down to the agencies very quickly. So the US has always been a big market. Our parent company is US based, and West Coast, San Francisco, and a lot of the East Coast states is massive. in Europe, in particular, Germany, Netherlands, Switzerland, they straddle both of those sectors, tech and life science. Eastern Europe, where we kind of recently opened up in places like Poland, Romania, Hungary, they, from a tech perspective, a lot of the big end clients have moved there, and it's meant a lot of the staffing agencies have followed suit. Not necessarily setting up directly themselves, but placing in those locations. So reason being, take a kind of Polish national or a Hungarian national, their math skills are on par with anything from a Western European, but the cost of labor is a lot cheaper. So a lot of clients are moving that way, and we're seeing a lot of the staffing agencies actually now following suit and placing their own staff, as Nick mentioned, maybe just one person initially, or operating out of, let's say, a UK office or a German office, targeting that specific geographic location.
So if we needed to get 30 people as freelancers into Hungary, is it easy? How long does it take? Is there things, a lot of people now are taking out GmbHs to work in Germany because of the Brexit malarkey. So what things do you need to be mindful of if we're looking at what would be our offshore solution?
We got the licenses. So by having the license, it enables us to effectively employ those workers on behalf of staffing agencies and their clients there already. So it means that the staffing agency doesn't have to worry about that additional cost, that additional headache. We take care of all of that for them. So if they are working remotely, or even if the client is based in Hungary, a bit like with AEG in Germany, we have that license, so we can physically employ them and lease that labor to the client in those countries. And that's part of the wider expansion plan of the group, is get the entity set up, get the solutions, so the agencies don't have to. And if that saves the agencies time and money.
In terms of a statement of work piece, I need to put 30 people overseas in Eastern Europe overnight. I can plug it straight through you guys. At what point does it become sort of commercially viable to say, but that's great for them, now we want to flip it and own that ourselves and just pay you to manage the payroll? What's sort of the trigger point for that?
We typically don't just do the pure outsourced payroll. We want to have the employment piece as well, and we can certainly advise clients on their behalf if they're going. So we can facilitate statement of work. We can do the invoice and pay for contractors. If there's visa requirements there, in some countries we can support. It's actually more complex. There's a lot of countries, depending on where they're coming from. There's a requirement around that. So we can support them going into the countries, and it just depends on what their longer term objectives are, whether they want to scale up when they're there, if they want to run their own solution and entity. But when you're looking at outsourcing the employment and payroll, typically it doesn't always make sense. Even if they have boots on the ground, commercially at the price point we're charging, it makes sense to use an outsourced provider to pass on all the risk and the extra admin and the headache.
Yeah, cybersecurity within tech, massive. It's where we're seeing the biggest growth within technology. Anything linked to that, any clients linked to that, wherever they're going, that's what we've recently been speaking to a couple of staffing agencies, is to follow where those clients are and where they're going. A lot of interest coming over from Chinese clients that are setting up themselves in Europe in that cybersecurity space. For us, that's one of our biggest growth areas, is to kind of tie up more with these kind of Chinese-based clients that are coming over.
A lot of the social media platforms, Gary, some of the bigger ones that we're all aware of are, and some of the more up and coming ones are starting to bring solutions and entities abroad. So we're seeing a big scale up in some Eastern European countries and core Western European countries with big facilities for IT support staff, developers. So one part of the market dips, the other part booms, and because we're diversified, we're seeing both sides of it, which is nice.
On behalf of the RDLC, you guys have been brilliant. You're bringing sophistication that helps us in terms of the whole statement of work piece and scaling across the globe. So we thank you for all you've done and how agile you've been for all members through 2020. That won't go unremembered. Right, so God bless you. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you on the other side.
Cheers, Gary.
Cheers, Gary.